Hello and welcome to our program, Where God Weeps, a program where we speak about the situation of the suffering church around the world. Cardinal John Tong Hon is the 7th Chinese Cardinal in the history of the Church and the first to be born in Hong Kong. After the announcement of the appointment by Pope Benedict XVI, Bishop Tong stated that the honor is certainly a sign of the Holy Father's great love and concern for the Catholic Church in China, and an encouragement for the efforts of the Hong Kong Diocese to promote reconciliation and full communion between the China Church and the Universal Church. To tell us more about the situation of the Church in China and the relations with the Universal Church, it is my great privilege to welcome His Eminence, Cardinal John Tong Hon. Your Eminence, thank you for being with us here today on our program.
Thank you very much, Mark, for your warm welcome.
Your Eminence, the last time we spoke, it was, I think, back in 2012, and you were still a bishop. Mm-hmm. Was it a surprise for you when you heard the news that you were going to be a cardinal?
Yes, it was a great surprise.
In fact, in this note, which I quote here, you wrote, at the same time, you saw this as a great encouragement to make greater efforts to play a bridge role between the Church in China and the Universal Church. Mm-hmm. Can you explain what you mean by this bridge role between the Church in China and the Universal Church?
Mm-hmm. Regarding bridge role, which was entrusted by the Holy Father long time ago when China was newly reopened.
And if I understand correctly, what we mean by the bridge role, we're speaking about Hong Kong, I suppose.
Yes.
Okay, so that Hong
the Holy
Kong
Father
plays this bridge.
Asked us to be the bridge road to concern with Church in China. First, it was not only myself to be the bridge church. It means when we are asked to be the bridge church, meaning we all together in Hong Kong.
The whole church in Hong Kong.
The whole church in Hong Kong, whole community in Hong Kong. We should try our best to be the bridge church, to contact the church in China. Practically speaking, we go up to visit them. If possible, we also welcome them to come down. When they arrive in Hong Kong, we also try to show our hospitality and brotherhood to them, and also and then on different levels, we try to communicate with them. For instance, on the biblical levels, we try to show them the books, and then also how to enlighten our Catholic community to understand and pray with the Bible better. And secondly, on the liturgical aspect, and so we will guide them to participate our Sunday masses or other liturgies. And then on the spiritual aspect, the same. To visit some retreat houses, what kind of programs we provide for our Catholics, and then also the pastoral. So we will invite some parish priests to offer their lectures to them. So how to run a parish, how to evangelize.
Yes, you have many different
aspects.
Yes.
So this is a bridge church.
It's a critical role. And the question I have is, because now you have literally millions of visitors coming to Hong Kong from China now, as there's a greater, let's say, increasing wealth and ability to travel, you have more and more visitors, and you will have more and more visitors coming.
Yes.
The question is, when they come to you, how do you find their spirit? Are they hungry for faith? Are they unaware? The ones coming from China to you, is it for many of them a first time that they come in contact with, for example, the Catholic Church or Christianity?
Yes, yes. The Catholics, most of them have the intention, to approach the church. They are not pure tourists. So besides, buying some religious articles and visiting the church and contact the people and to get some informations and also the experiences, they can learn from. And also, they would like to pay a visit to me, take a photo with me. So almost every day nowadays, I'm visited by them.
You'll have to make a cutout of yourself.
Yes.
You said of yourself, I think of, and I quote here, I think I am a mild person. I try to follow the Chinese saying, also known in Latin as in medio stat virtus. Virtue is in the middle way, which is also a Chinese philosophy. How do you understand this also in your new role?
We wear the cassock. This is the red cassock.
Yes, the color of the martyr.
In the martyr's color. That means we although I have such a mild character, yet regarding the principles of our faith, we have to be firm. We cannot make compromise. So that's
so there's an underlying foundation to all of this.
There's always bottom line.
There's a bottom line. But then once the bottom line is established, the way to get is through mediation and dialogue.
Yes. Dialogue is also necessary. As our Holy Father, Pope Francis, he also maintained dialogue, and he invited leaders of Israel and Palestine to come over and to greet each other and also to pray together. So dialogue is important. Meeting and dialogue are still necessary.
Your Eminence, you have divided the historical period in China in two. The dates before 1980, when there was really severe persecution of the Christians in China, and post 1980, when there has been somehow a greater openness. Can you give us a bit of an understanding of what you mean by these two eras of Christianity in China?
Before Deng Xiaoping, Mr. Deng Xiaoping regained his political power at the end of 1970s, China was under severe persecutions from time to time. So many priests, sisters, and even lay people were imprisoned. Some even stay in prisons for more than 20 years. After Deng Xiaoping regained his political power, and China became open up to the outside world. So in those years, in the early 80s, gradually many imprisoned persons have been released. They could return home. So this, and even some churches were allowed to reopen, and those damaged churches also were renovated. And people started to be allowed to go to the church to pray.
I'd like to come back a little bit later to the wider landscape, but I want to just briefly address the question of: is there still, or rather, are there still Catholics, bishops, priests in prison today? And what is the situation, for example, for the underground church? What can we say about this situation there?
Oh, good question. Yes, there's still, unfortunately, much less already. But still, I can tell you the obvious example: the bishops in the underground church, still a few, the leaders
in prison.
Are imprisoned, are being imprisoned.
And
for instance, in Baoding, Bishop Su Jiemin, he still is being imprisoned. And then in Yishun, Hebei province, Bishop Si An Xiang, he's being imprisoned. And even the bishops in the open church, for some reasons, he could be put into house arrest. Yeah. The obvious case is the auxiliary Bishop Ma Da-Qian. He declared after his ordination about 2 years ago, I will give up my position in the Patriotic Associations from now on. So now he is put into the house arrest seminary or shrine areas. So he could not be allowed to contact outsiders.
In this question of this new openness of China and the government, why is there still a fear of these obviously elderly old bishops who perhaps, the question, why is there still a fear?
I think, this insecurity feeling on the government side. There's no need. I mean, sometimes if a person, for instance, is or even a manager in a society, in the outside world, is disagreed by his collaborators, objected on certain issues. But this does not mean that he is, hated by the other side. Because, we can have a different opinion. Just because I love you, therefore, I express my disagreement to you on this subject. So,
but it doesn't mean I love you any less, or love the country any less.
But in some countries, particularly in the communist countries, they ask you to say yes. Almost everything's say yes.
Say yes to everything.
To the government. Yeah. When you say no, that means you are doing something against me, which is not true. So it's a too narrow interpretation.
There is, I would like to address, because you mentioned the open church, you mentioned the Patriotic Association and the underground church.
Yes.
Perhaps for those who don't maybe understand the differences, can you briefly just explain the three different structures that we are talking about, just to have an understanding when we're talking about Patriotic Association, open church and underground church?
Yes. In the early days, back to 1957, the government, in order to supervise, to control the church, established Patriotic Association. Those people who joined the Patriotic Associations, and they have to follow the directives or guidelines of the government. According to the Chinese Constitution, all the Chinese citizens enjoy freedom of religious belief, yet they should, get the permission in order to have religious activities. So you can believe what you like in your mind, in your heart, or inside of your house, you do your religious activities during worships.
But no expression.
Externally, without the permission of the government, you could be accused by the government. So that is our interpretation, and also the interpretation of nowadays the Chinese scholars. The control could be sometimes more loose, sometimes more tightening, and also it differs from place to place, from time to time. Yet, the underground, some churches, people dislike this kind of control because we are born of free.
And so, just to clarify, then the open church are those people that agree to or simply go to church with the understanding that this is under the umbrella of the government approval, if you will.
Yes,
and then the underground church are those that rejected and said, because we are cut off from Rome, and we are not, they decided to go underground. Is that correct?
So, yes. So therefore, we not accept this kind of treatments, by the government. Therefore, from time to time, they gather in a private house. So that's we call them underground church people.
Now, if I understand correctly, the position of the Vatican is no longer to see two churches, no longer to see the above ground church, the open church, and the underground church, but only one church.
Yes.
Have you been able to make advances? For example, I know that many of the bishops that were ordained officially by the Chinese government without the approval of Rome have since come over and sought approval by Rome and even received approval by Rome.
Yes.
So there is some kind of reconciliation, if you will.
Yes. Many of them, but not all of them, but not yet all. But I would say that the majority of them already try their best to contact, the Holy See, and requested to be legitimized, to be forgiven and legitimized, and also seeing their sincerity. So Rome also legitimized them. So many became legitimate bishops.
And if I have read correctly, often it's the parish, the lay people, when there's a bishop that is not legitimate, they are not as keen to follow that particular bishop.
No. Once the illegitimate bishop is saying mass, and then the community is dispersed. Yes.
So it comes from the grassroots.
Exactly. So that's it's evidence. And also I think their conscience also bother them. So since if there's chance, of course they would like to. But still, you find out some illegitimate bishops in China. Some they are very stubborn. Very few. And then after the stop of the dialogue between Holy See and Chinese government, from 2009, 2010. 2010, at the end of 2009, till now, it's almost 4 years. This period, 3 years and a half period. And also a few new illegitimate bishops came out. There were at least 3 to 4 illegitimate ordinations. Therefore, now I think according to our estimation, about 8 illegitimate bishops in China.
Presently in China.
Presently. Out of these 70 open bishops.
So there's great hope there, in fact, that with time...
Yes, hopefully. We pray for.
We pray for this. Your Eminence, David Aikman, a former Beijing bureau chief for Time magazine, and he stated that with the rapid growth of Christians in China, in the next 30 years, 1/3 of China's population could be Christian, making China one of the largest Christian nations in the world in terms of pure numbers, not in terms of percentage, but in terms of pure numbers. The question, can the Chinese dragon be slain by the Christian lamb? Are you hopeful? And how do you see the hope because of the rapid growth of Christianity in China?
I hope so. However, I think that would be too optimistic, because even there will be a dialogue between Holy See and the Chinese government would be resumed, particularly with the new popes and the new presidents. The relationship has becomes now better, improved. However, even they sit at the table of dialogue, but it will take longer time, because unless some key issues could be solved, otherwise no diplomatic relationship can be achieved. What kind of difficult problem? Like some imprisoned bishops should be released. That's
point number one.
And those bishops even in the open church under house arrest should be free, should enjoy freedom. Secondly, is about they would definitely discuss about the election of bishops.
And
So
the author
Holy
that the
See-
Vatican has an authorization. Yes.
Exactly. Should. I mean, this is the principles also of our church. Yeah, we could not give up.
No, it's the apostolic succession.
Exactly. Yeah, you are perfectly correct. Yeah. So these are the important issues. Yeah. And how about the bishops' conference and other things also related? Yeah.
All of these subsequent questions which
related,
are addressed to the core questions of the freedom of the church in China.
So the church by nature should be missionary. So how far we are allowed, how far we are not allowed. So we have to discuss this issue.
And for the benefit of China. I think this is what
exactly.
You wrote once that what part of your work was to help the Chinese leadership understand that this was in fact for the benefit of China.
Exactly. If the negotiation, diplomatic relation could be achieved between the Holy See and China, then China will gain good reputation, gain international reputation in the whole world. So it is also it is beneficial to China.
To China. Your Eminence, what can we do?
Pope Benedict XVI issued his letter to the Church in China, to the Catholic Church in China in 2007. Inside of the letters, there are a lot of, good points inside. But all in all, one thing is, besides praying for the church in China, and we should encourage them to, at least negatively speaking, stop attacking each other if they have. Now, after the issuing of the promulgation of this letter, the attacking, mutual attacking, is already has come down.
Now, you mean mutual attacking between whom and whom? Between
underground and open church.
Okay.
Mainly about from the underground. Yeah, they attack each other. So
this needs to stop.
It needs to stop. Yeah, full stop. Yeah, has already come down, but still some they don't treat each other as brothers. Yeah, and then positively, of course. If time permits and then occasion arises, they should have some contact with each other. Yeah, that's a positive way. And then finally they can hold a dialogue so that they can achieve unity among themselves, and also achieve the full communion between the church in China and the universal church.
Now this is the model for within China, but what is it that we can do? What is it from the universal church?
Yeah, we should encourage them this way.
In this direction.
This direction, yeah.
And pray for this, obviously.
Yeah, pray also. First pray. Secondly, and then enlighten, this is the point to them. And the third, since I say the British church, well, when they come out, to Hong Kong, we also invite them to see, also offer them some books beneficial to them, so that they can update themselves with the new ideas, with the Vatican II ideas, and also the new ideas of the magisterium of the church.
Your Eminence, thank you very much
for
having
welcome.
been with
My
us
pleasure.
today.
Yeah.
And ladies and gentlemen, we continue to pray for the church in China and for the work of His Eminence Cardinal John Tong. And we look forward to seeing you next week. Take care.